Okay, we also have Councillor Dominic Hiscock with us today, wants to speak on agenda item 4, and Councillor John Benison and Councillor Russell Oppenheimer send their apologies as well. Okay, with that, we'll move straight on. So we go straight on to agenda item 1, which is the Hertford Bridge Flats Junction. I think, David, did you want to speak on this one?
Just total support. As it says in the report, I've been campaigning for it since the original roundabout was built for the last 6 years. So, yes, please start it back at the end of this year, I think, November, and it should take a year to complete.
Absolutely, that's great. All right, thank you for that. I know just want to make a quick comment. Tim, do you just want to give us a brief overview, please? Tim Lawton.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. What I would say before I go into any detail is I've got David Wilson supporting me today. There are 4 or 5 papers that relate to schemes, either project appraisals or updates. So I'll lead those papers off, and then David will give a little bit more detail and then come back to you for questions, if that's okay. So
yes,
item 1, as you've just said, is that the Hertford Bridge Flats project, and the paper seeks your approval for the approach that we're taking in terms of the design, and also seeks authority for the planning permission to be sought to enable the next stage of delivery. David?
Okay, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Councillor Humby. The proposal is to build a 4th arm on the existing 3-arm roundabout, and the objectives are to reduce journey time and obviously to reduce congestion as well. So as Tim says, we're seeking approval to move forward with the detailed design to complete that and also to apply for planning permission. I'm pleased to say that land negotiations are proceeding well, and that we've provisionally allocated a funding package, and we'll come back to you after we get, well, assuming we get planning permission, we'll come back to a future decision day later in the year with seeking a full project appraisal approval. Thank you.
All right, that's great. Thank you very much. On hearing that, Councillor Simpson, David, did you want to make any further comment?
No, none at all. Thank you. Just grateful it's going ahead, and as I said, the sooner the better.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much for that. And I think we're all pleased to see this scheme coming forward, and we look out for that future paper. So if there's no further comments, I'm very happy, Katie, to accept the recommendations. Paras 2 to 3 on page 5. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move straight on to agenda item 2. That's the project appraisal for the Brighton Hill roundabout. Tim, you just want to give an overview on that first, please?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is a formal PA to widen and signalise the existing roundabout junction to increase capacity at the Brighton Hill roundabout and provide, at the same time, provide new cycle and pedestrian facilities. David, any further detail you want to add to that one?
Well, just to say £19.3 million project. We're very pleased that it's been part funded by the EM3 LEP, and the EM3 LEP have been very flexible in terms of helping us deal with some of the difficult challenges we've faced through the Camrose link and the refusal of that planning permission. We've now got a really good scheme, and we're seeking authority to proceed, and we would start the main works contract in autumn, subject to today's approval. I think it's also worth adding that the design has been enhanced, and we're now looking to deliver the cycle and walking facilities as part of the Brighton Hill roundabout to a higher standard. That's the new government standard for a cycle infrastructure design, which I'm pleased to say has been added. So hopefully we'll seek approval today, and we'll go ahead with main works from October. Thank you.
That's great. Sorry, Tim, go on, yeah.
Yeah, just a quick one, Chairman. I just wanted to say there is some linkage with this project and item 6, which we'll come to later in the agenda.
Yeah, I was going to make that point, yeah, but thank you for that. Councillor Simpson, I don't think you wanted to comment on this one?
No, thank you very much. I think it's just a continuation of what we've been doing over the years.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, David. I'd just like to say to David Wilson and the team as well, yes, this has been quite a challenge to get this far, and I've been involved with the LEPs as well in terms of the funding and the process we've been going through, and there has been challenges, and then in addition to in terms of the cycling as well and the improvements that's made. So thank you to the team and and all the work and effort that's gone into this. It's like a lot of papers, as I said at the beginning, when they get this far, an enormous amount of work has gone through to get to this point. And sometimes it seems like we're almost just going through the process here. but the work that goes into there, I think it's important that people know that and understand that. So I don't have any further comments. Just say congratulations to the team for to getting this far with it. So Katie, happy to accept the recommendations as set out in Paris 2 to 4 on page 23. I think, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we'll move straight on agenda item 3. This is the A326 South Junction improvements, Waterside. Tim.
Thank you, Chairman. You may recall that a project appraisal came to you back in March in 2020 for this project. Obviously, we've been through COVID over the past 12 months, and COVID has increased the risk position on this scheme to the extent that we now need to add some contingency to the funding to make sure that there is financial certainty with the project. So the project has increased in value from 8.1 to 11.2 million. And in addition to the cost increase, there's obviously been some new design guidance that's been published since March last year, specifically LTN 120. Yeah. So we are taking the opportunity to include that design guidance in the final scheme. Mm-hmm. David, I don't know whether you want to add any more.
Just a couple of points, thanks, Tim. Just to say that the scheme, including the additional costs, are fully funded by a combination of the Solent LEP and also Folly Waterside developer, which is good news. So we've managed to ensure that any additional costs will be covered externally. And it's also worth adding that we plan to deliver this scheme in 2 phases. And the reason for that is it's a linear scheme and will have quite a significant impact on traffic flows on the A326. So it's extremely important that we deliver it in a way that minimises impact on the travelling public. I think the final thing to say links back to what I mentioned earlier, and that's the new government guidance on cycle infrastructure design. And we've had to do quite a lot of redesign to take account of this new standard that was introduced at the middle of last year. And we worked quite closely with Sustrans and the Waterside Cycle Action Group to try and make sure that these improvements and upgrades are incorporated into the design. And this links quite closely to item 9 on the agenda, which is east-west connectivity. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. And I think this is I think I made this point earlier in discussions at ETE. This is one part of a very big jigsaw puzzle down on the waterside. And there's been yet again a lot of engagement, certainly with the cycling and walking groups as well, and with the addition of the changes in policy. So this is the sort of south end. There's a lot of work at the north end. And when you look at the whole development in that area, this is a very significant scheme that we're taking forward at this stage. So, David, any comments? Just
none at all.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. So, yet again, as I say, an enormous amount of work to get to this point. So, thank you to the team as well. As I say, it's all part of a much bigger puzzle, this, and then gradually this will all come together over the coming months. So, very happy to support this paper and the recommendations 2 to 4 KTS set out on page 35. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we'll move straight on to get my machine to work. So agenda item 4. So this is the arboricultural paper update. Tim, I don't know if you want to quick brief on this, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll cover this one. So this paper seeks your approval to update the existing highway tree management policy to facilitate a more permissive approach that will enable Hampshire residents to request minor tree works that currently fall outside of the current highway policy position, with the cost of those works being fully met by the residents on a full cost recovery basis. I should say that the emphasis with this paper is still very much on protecting highway trees and making sure that they remain safe. But there is recognition that there are occasions where trees can cause seasonal nuisance to adjacent properties, such as excess shade or overgrowth. And currently the County Council doesn't take any action in those cases unless there is a highway safety issue. So this new policy position allows residents to request those works, and if approved, those works would be actioned by the County Council, subject to the resident agreeing to pay the full costs, which would be based on term highway contract rates plus an administration fee on top. And it's also worth noting, Chairman, that this policy amendment does not remove the need to seek formal approvals from the local district or borough councils where trees are subject to preservation orders.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I think Councillor Simpson and Councillor Hiscock wanted to comment on this. David first.
Shall I wait for Councillor Hiscock first?
Okay. Councillor Hiscock.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to speak in favour of this. I think, like most members, we've had problems with residents where trees have just simply outgrown where they were planted, particularly in the estates as they begin to mature. And it's been met with incredulity by the residents that they have to have this tree growing all over their view and they can't see anything, or they can't park their cars anymore, or they can't walk past it. And they've offered to pay and been told that it can't be done. And I think this will make a huge difference to a lot of people. The tragedy is that I've seen it so many times that we have some very nice trees, lovely trees that people have grown to hate because they've got out of control, and that's awful. People should be able to enjoy their trees and not feel threatened by them, which is, I hope, what this policy will allow you to do. So thank you for that. I'm sure my residents will be pleased. I agree with the caveats you've got on there as well. Most of my division is actually in the conservation area, so I wouldn't want those controls lost. So yeah, just carry on. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks very much. I'll just add to that before David comes in. You're quite right about the caveats. Need to manage expectations here. This does not mean we would be cutting down all the trees just because the residents want us to do that. This is about crown lifting, effectively pruning. So they will have to go through all the processes that we normally do. It just means if it wasn't something that we wouldn't normally do from a highways point of view of danger, but we can assist the residents if it is causing a nuisance. But to be very clear, this is not suddenly a carte blanche about cutting down trees. That is absolutely not what this policy is about. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Simpson, David.
Thank you, Rob. A little bit tongue-in-cheek on this. First of all, I support it, and the caveats. Obviously, TPOs, etc., have to be respected. For over 30 years now, I've been pruning 2 county highway oak trees that overlook my property. And I note you have a maximum fee of £500. Can I have a refund?
Well, even if it is your last meeting, no, I might send you a bill for having done it when you didn't have permission, David. So,
well, I had to get permission. One of them has a TPO, so each time they were done, I had to get permission, and it always cost me well over £1,000.
But overall, I think you welcome and support the paper. I know, Jess, but yes. I mean, it's something that I've had quite a few inquiries about, and we've wanted to help, and I think this does go quite a way to doing that, as I say. But we do need to be clear in managing expectations about what it means. Yeah.
Strictly speaking, what is 1.5 highway trees? Half of one of the oaks is mine because the boundary goes through the middle.
Okay. Very useful detail, Councillor Simpson. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. No, I think it's a very wise thing to do. I think it will help a lot of people, and I welcome the paper as well because I get a lot of inquiries about it, and I know members do as well. And it's got those discussions with Tim and Stuart Jarvis that we've got to this point as well. So yeah. So thank you for all that input, and thank you very much for that. So I'm happy to accept the recommendations, Katie, as set out in paras 2 to 5 on page 37. Thank you. Okay, straight on to agenda item 5. That's the interim transport position statement on Western Basingstoke. Tim, are you taking us through this?
Yes, I'll lead this one off, Chairman, and then I'll bring in Frank Baxter, who's just turned his camera on. So this paper explains the need for the interim transport statement for the West of Basingstoke to deal with emerging plans for land use in that area, and it will complement work being done by the Borough Council as part of its own local plan update process. Frank.
Thank you, Tim. The reason for the report is that there are a number of potentially very large developments to the west of Basingstoke. None of them are currently in a local plan, but Hampshire County Council as Highways Authority are being asked for our view on a number of quite critical infrastructure issues. This report seeks to agree an interim position statement related to that highway infrastructure. By doing so, It illustrates our position and will facilitate better transport and community outcomes should the developments come forward. It's worth noting that the interim position reflects the fact that there is limited planning status in bringing something forward outside of the local plan process. That said, the fact that we have an interim position should have influence upon development and also the local planning authority. And it's worth noting that in discussion with the local planning authority and their senior leadership, they are very keen on the interim transport statement coming forward. Very recently, they adopted their own land use vision, which is coterminous with this plan for transport. Other engagement has been done with landowners and also other possible developers, and so there has been quite a reasonable and extensive engagement with those who'd be affected by the interim recommendations. And I commend it forward to this to the chairman to make a positive decision in light of the benefits this brings for integrated land use and transport planning. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Frank. I really appreciate that. I think this is and I've said many times on this particular paper, actually, this is really a huge piece of work, and I really welcome this. And I've said previously to, to say thank you to Frank and to Hannah Roper, who has done an amazing amount of work on this and keeping everybody engaged. I know I've really appreciated that. So has the local MP, local county councillors, and indeed all the members from the district and borough that have been engaged with this as well. It's really important now, and sitting on the Transport for South East, those conversations we have around land use planning, lining itself up with transport planning, and this is a really good example of doing that. So I'm really, really pleased to see this paper, but I think we can't underestimate the amount of work that's gone into this to get to this point. So I really do welcome it. David, would you like to any brief comment?
Just to echo what you're saying, I've not had a single complaint. Everybody is supportive. Please just sign the document.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But Tim, did you want to add anything further to this? No. Okay. No, Rob. All right. So no, I genuinely do welcome that. As I say, Frank, if you can take that back, and I need to to the team as well, via everybody. And I know other members have come back to me and said as well about the excellent engagement that has happened with the county council to get to this point in that process. And there's a huge amount going on in the area, and trying to join up all those bits of puzzle. We've now got a document, if you like, or a plan to work to, which is really, really significant. So thank you for that. So very, very happy to, Katie, to accept the recommendations in Paras 2 to 3 as set out on page 57. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So we go straight on to agenda item 6, which is the Active Travel Fund Brighton Way cycle route Basingstoke.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. This as we said earlier, this complements item 2, the Brighton Hill roundabout scheme. So this is a formal project appraisal. It's for a new cycle route along Brighton Way, and also complements and supports the County Council's priorities in terms of air quality improvements, reduced carbon emissions, and also promoting active travel. David, I'm sure you want to say a bit more, and perhaps you could also touch on the outcomes of the public consultation that was undertaken earlier this year.
Thank you. The proposal, well, I think the first thing to say is just how pleased we are to have secured DFT funding for this scheme, and it's from their Active Travel Fund. So there's just about 400,000 towards that, which is the vast majority. So that's good news. We've had significant levels of support for the scheme, which has completed this public consultation, an online consultation due to COVID, and the results are appended to the report. But I'm pleased to say that around 64% of people are supporting the cycle route and the proposals are set out in the paper. So we're seeking to deliver the scheme, and we'll start on the ground in the summer months. And the reason for delivering this one ahead of the Brighton Hill roundabout is because the DFT spend deadlines are quite tight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. David. Councillor Simpson, any comment?
The only thing I would comment is when you've got 3 or more items which are all around the same area, it would be useful if they were actually consecutive items. I think you have 3 on Basingstoke at the moment. So it's something maybe Katie or someone else, I'm not sure who arranged it, could think about. If you've got them, put them together, then they naturally follow on one from the other. But yeah, very supportive of this, of course. I just wish you could have done a few more where I represent for the next few weeks.
Well, your oak tree was underway, David. I think a good point in terms of lining up the agenda items. I think what happens is the papers come forward when they're ready at certain times, and they get added to the agenda, I think, as and when they become sort of, finalised and written up. Okay, that's great. Well, apologies to everybody. We had some technical issues with the sound on there. We're back up and running again now. But for completeness, we finished up to agenda item 5. We started agenda item 6, but weren't absolutely clear whether the recording was sufficient. So we're going to go back to agenda item 6 again for completeness. So can I ask you, Tim, just to give us a brief overview of agenda item 6, please, the ATF Brighton Way cycle route. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a project appraisal seeking your approval to procure, spend and deliver a £551,000 scheme on Brighton Way to be funded from Department of Transport's Active Travel Fund plus developers' contributions. Scheme provides a new cycle route along Brighton Way and very much complements and supports the County Council's priorities for air quality improvements, reduced carbon emissions and promoting active travel. Public consultation was undertaken earlier this year, very much in support of the scheme. I'll hand over to David in case he wants to add any more detail.
Okay, great. David, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Humphrey. Well, just to add to Tim's comments, that we received nearly 400,000 from the DFT Active Travel Fund, which is a welcome addition to improving cycling facilities in Basingstoke, which is great news. The public consultation that we've just recently completed shows that 64% of those that responded are in full support, which again is good news. And the final thing relates to delivery of the scheme, and that we hope to have the main contractor on site this summer. And the reason that we're not doing this work at the same time as the Brighton Hill roundabout is because the DFT spend deadlines are quite tight. Thank you.
Right, that's great. Thank you. Councillor Simpson, quick comment?
Just quickly support, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And I think what's encouraging of this was the support that it's had. I mean, certainly with the Emergency Active Travel Fund, we had to do in a very quick timescale without any consultation. This has been full and had significant support. So very pleased to see this going forward, and thanks to the team. So Katie, you'd like to accept the paper. Thank you very much. As set out, the recommendations in paras 2 to 4 on page 73. Thank you. Okay, we should now go to the next agenda item, which is agenda item 7, which is the Farnborough Growth Package. Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. This paper seeks your approval to undertake advanced utility works on Lynchford Road at a cost of 0.76 million to be funded from the local growth fund. It also seeks your approval to adjust the scope of the scheme in line with the latest design guidance and local views, and there will be a full PA to follow in due course.
Okay, that's great. David, did you want to add something? David Wilson?
Thank you, Councillor Humphrey. Just to add to Tim's comments about the adjusted scope, and that over the last year or so, we've very much responded to the public's initial feedback to our 4-lane option. We've broadened the scope, we've adjusted the major scheme to take account of their comments, and by broadening the scope, we've managed to secure DFT funding for active travel measures in North Camp, and we've also secured EM3 LEP funding for bus priority measures in the vicinity. So really this is a good news story. We've been out to a further public consultation, which it actually just concluded within the last few days, and we've not had time to do full analysis, but early indications are really positive, and we'll report back to you in the summer, hopefully with a full PA for approval. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Councillor Simpson?
Just to congratulate them, Mr. Chairman, on an excellent consultation and for actually taking so much notice of the comments that have been given to them. So congratulations to Tim, David and the team.
That's great. Thank you for that, David, and absolutely agree with that. I had a conversation with Rushmore Borough Council and some of the exec members there, and they were very, very pleased with the engagement, and they specifically asked me to thank Alan. And if I can ask you, David, to take that back to thank Alan with all the work that he's done locally. I mean, it's been a good process to go through, as Councillor Simpson has said. You know, the first sort of proposal came forward. We had a lot of debate and discussion. We've listened to residents, listened to businesses as well. And through working with the Borough Council and the local members, and indeed the County Council members as well, a new scheme has come forward. I understand this work is provisional work, and we've still got to go through that process and make sure we approve that as well. But I'm very pleased to see this come forward now and the support that it's getting locally. So well done to you, David, and the team as well. So thank you very much. Tim, have you have anything further to add, or was that okay?
The only thing I would add, Chairman, is that the advanced utility works that we're talking about here will apply equally to whichever option is ultimately chosen.
When we do that, okay, that's great. And thank you for making that very clear. So, Katie, very happy to accept the recommendations as set out in paras 2 to 4 on page 101. Thank you very much. Okay, so now go on to agenda item 8, passenger transport contracts and concessionary fares. Tim, are you leading on this?
I'll say a few words, Chairman, then I'll hand over to Lisa. So you may recall a paper came to you to your decision day in November last year to seek approval for concessionary fare reimbursement payment arrangements. Those arrangements run to the end of this month. So this paper seeks your approval for new payments to be made from the 1st of April for 6 months that will be in line with the latest Department for Transport guidance. I'll hand over to Lisa to perhaps add a bit more detail.
Okay, great. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks. So yes, as Tim said, we're looking to extend the existing arrangement with a slight tweak in line with the Department for Transport's guidance, which allows us to change the way we reimburse bus operators for their concessionary fare revenue. And so instead of providing 100% of pre-COVID level payments, so i.e. bus operators would get what they got April 2019 in April 2020, from April onwards, the report proposes that we'll pay them based on the percentage of the timetable they're operating compared to the percentage of compared to their pre-COVID timetable. So if they're operating 100% of their pre-COVID timetable, they get 100% of their concessionary fare reimbursement. If they're operating 50, you get the gist. So that's the proposal in the report. The remaining items in the report ask for continuation of the existing arrangements, which are 100% contract payments for our local bus payments contracts, 100% for community transport, and 80% for our taxi share services, and 80% concessionary fare reimbursement for our taxi share services too. And that will enable the sector to continue as it is until we enter more of a recovery phase from the pandemic.
Okay, that's great, Lisa. Thank you for that. Councillor Simpson?
Seems logical and sensible, Mr. Chairman. Suggest we get on with it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'd just like to say I meet regularly with the bus MDs, the 3 major bus operators, and they are extremely grateful of how Hampshire and the speed that they've made these decisions initially and the continuation of that. In fact, they went as far as saying we stand out alone in terms of other authorities that they deal with. So I'm very, very pleased that we've done that. So congratulations to Lisa and Andrew Wilson, who's on the call as well. I know they genuinely appreciate it and the support they've got, because they need that certainty going forward as well. And we need to make sure that we have a really good bus service in the future as well. And by supporting them up front with that, gives them that opportunity to do that. So I'm really, really pleased with it, and well done to you and the team. Tim, have you got anything further to add? Tim? Sorry.
No, thank you, Chairman.
Sorry, beg your pardon. Okay. Okay, so very happy to accept the recommendations in paras 6 to 9 on pages 109 to 110. Thank you very much, and thanks to Lisa and to Andrew as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now go on to agenda item 9. This is the project appraisal for the Waterside East-West connectivity. Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So this is, as you just said, it's a project appraisal. This is for phase 1 of the Waterside East-West connectivity package, which will complement the A326 South Junction improvements works, which were discussed earlier. Phase 1 is valued at 610,000 against the full package value of 970,000, which will be subject to cabinet approval in due course.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Councillor Simpson?
Yeah, local members are very supportive of this, Mr. Chairman. Again, a good scheme being put forward by the county.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And I noted your points that you made earlier about joining up some of the agenda items, but I think I explained that. But as I said to you, there's an awful lot of work and development going on in that area, and this is another part of that puzzle, and it sort of fits in with all the other schemes that are down there as well. So very pleased to see this going forward. So very happy to support the recommendations, Katie, as set out in paras 2 to 4 on page 119. Thank you very much. Okay, we now have an exempt paper. So we're going to have to move into exempt session. So we'll have to exclude the press and the public. I just need to read a statement and then we'll stop the webcast if that's okay. So this is that the public be excluded from the meeting during the following item of business, as it is likely, in the view of the nature of the business to be transacted or the nature of the proceedings, that if members of the public were present during this item, there would be disclosure to them of exempt information within paras 3 of Part 1 of Schedule 12A to the Local Government Act 1972, and further that in all circumstances of the case, the public interest in maintaining the exemption outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information for reasons as set out in the report. So all those watching from that point of view, this is about commercial sensitivity. So that's why we have to exclude the public at this point. So can I ask Katie, please, that you ask the webcast to be stopped? Thank you.